Today we're looking at the best PFL fight of 2023, a PFL lightweight semifinal between Cassius Clay Collard and Shane Burgos from PFL 9 on August 23, 2023 from New York's The Theater at Madison Square Garden. This fight sounded great on paper, as both are very good fighters who provide great action and are leading candidates to win Fight of the Night by delivering another banger. They didn't disappoint, providing us with the exceptional high-output war we expected. Collard has 18 pro boxing matches since 2017, and while his 9-6-3 record is indicative of it being a payday and some on-the-job training, against fighters who only train MMA striking, he's not only far more technical, but also one of the best and most relentless punchers in the sport. That's basically what he brings. Strong, consistent boxing offense to all quadrants, and good boxing defense, which means upper body and head movement. Collard did his thing here, landing 193 strikes in this match, 178 of which were punches, and his relentlessness was typically hard to handle. Collard does have a strong high school wrestling background, though unless things go awry, he's basically just employing it defensively, trying to stay on his feet so he can knock the opponent out. Hurricane Shane Burgos is a warrior as well, and while it would probably have been to his strategic benefit to try to utilize his grappling, as he has a good takedown, ground striking, and submission game, he was not surprisingly willing to stand toe-to-toe with Collard, absorbing the initial barrage in order to land his own counters back. Collard was the more aggressive of the two, but anytime Burgos had a chance, he took advantage of Collard's poor kicking defense, beating up his legs. Collard may have dominated the punch stats, but Burgos landed 49 out of 57 leg strikes, and by the third round Collard could barely step. Collard doesn't have great movement to begin with, but his game still relies on being able to enter and exit efficiently, especially so he can work his body punches, which are the key to his effectiveness given he isn't threatening the body or legs with kicks or takedown attempts. Even though the opponent knows that Collard is just going to come in with a punch combo, it is much more difficult to defend than it sounds because he mixes quadrants so well, and is one of the best body punchers in MMA, often starting his combinations with 1 or 2 punches to the body rather than the traditional jab to the head. Although Collard is a volume striker in terms of overall activity, he isn't a Diaz sort of slapper. He really digs in, especially on the body punches when he is able to combine them with forward movement. Burgos was doing targeted damage, but not quite fast enough, especially as he lacked an immediate method to quell Collard's excessive striking volume. Collard hurt Burgos with a left hook late in the first round to seal that round. In the second round, Burgos began to fight smarter, throwing the low kick and then exiting, which forced Collard to come to him. Collard's best striking came from stepping forward with the body hook, but now that Burgos was doing a better job of controlling distance, Collard was forced to use more jabs because he was finding himself out of range a lot more often. The fight seemed to be trending in Burgos' direction when Collard did a backward roll away for the second time in the fight after taking a big calf kick. Dan Hardy suggested that the reason Collard hadn't switched stances was that his back leg may also be in bad shape. Collard came right back with a left hook knockdown though, which shows the value of all his body work, because he was down low like he was perhaps going to the body again, but instead came over the top to the chin, and Burgos couldn't do anything about it because he was already committed to his own counterpunch. Burgos was 7-0 in his hometown of New York, but with the late knockdown ensuring Collard won the second round, a decision victory now seemed very unlikely. Burgos was forced into desperation mode, standing toe-to-toe with Collard even more often in the third, rather than forcing Collard to use what was left of his legs to come to him. We can focus on Collard being compromised, but a lot of fighters would have been done after Collard's second round knockdown, so it was amazing to see Burgos be able to adjust his strategy and finally win the third round. Burgos began finishing all his combinations with the inside leg kick, and at this point, Collard wasn't really able to fire back with much because he couldn't really move forward to get into range, or use his lower body to get anything behind the shots he did manage to throw. Instead of stepping forward to close the distance, Collard had to just kind of fake it, leaning forward with arm punches, which dramatically limited his ability to actually reach Burgos. Though Collard was largely forced to throw jabs on the outside while waiting for Burgos to come to him, this was somewhat effective because Burgos couldn't be passive or play the waiting game given he needed to finish. Collard was still gutting it out, eating a jab while hopping into range if Burgos didn't cooperate with this strategy. Burgos was much more accurate and effective in the third round because Collard was either stationary or very slow closing the distance. Burgos really broke Clay down, and I'm sure he would have won the fight had it been scheduled for 5 rounds. Unfortunately for Burgos, he just wasn't able to get the job done quickly enough. The activity of Collard was definitely a key as always, as even though Burgos' output was high, Collard still managed to throw twice as many strikes, attempting 438 to Burgos' 213. Collard would likely have slowed down somewhat in the 3rd round just from his crazy activity, but once again that was okay, because Burgos simply winning the last round wasn't enough, with Collard taking the unanimous decision 29-28. This was an excellent match that was clearly the highlight of PFL's year. Collard, who was dropped from the UFC twice, moved to 4-0 against UFC rejects with this victory, but unfortunately went on to lose the lightweight tournament final to 12-time UFC competitor Olivier Aubin-Mercier on November 24, 2023.